Let us talk about emotional bank. What do you understand by the term emotional bank? Well, your emotional bank is the amount of packed issues, the amount of unresolved issues, the amount of issues that are not yet worked on, the amount of unfinished issues that you have kept with you. These issues could date back as as early. These issues would date back as early as 3 years old, as early as 5 years old, as early as 10 years old. So these are issues that we've kept with us. These are issues that we've held on to. These are issues that has somehow has formed us, has directed the way we behave, has directed the way we think, has directed the way we act. And they're literally, some of them are literally responsible for the personality that we have since acquired. If this is true, then check the you back then before a particular situation happened, and the you now after that particular situation happened. There is a difference. The you back then was this, maybe it was this person that would speak. The you then was this person that was bubbly. The you then was this person that, would talk, would express themselves. But the you now is the person that holds back. The you now is the person that does not even understand why they're alive. The you now is the person that is just living for the sake of living. So what are the dangers of having a lot of unpacked emotions? What are the dangers of having, the emotions that are not released, that are not worked on, the emotions that are kept for a while? These are the dangers. It works on your spiritual life, it works on your mental life, it works on your physical life. Automatically, your physical health is worked on. Automatically, your spiritual health is already sick. Automatically, your emotional health, your mental health, all these are intertwined. So the question is, how can I unpack my emotional bank? Because it's the same emotional bank that is causing you all these other trouble. So the question is, how can I unpack my emotional bank? Have you ever asked yourself why you never run out of emotions? This is because your emotional bank is always, being replenished. You replenish your emotional bank without losing a thing. So how do I, Dorothy, replenish my emotional bank? This is it. Let's take a typical example of breakup. So in a relationship, or rather in your relationship back then with the person A, this person did something that did really hurt you badly. Maybe they walked out on you. Maybe you invested a lot in that particular relationship. It was one relationship that you never saw it coming to an end. You invested so much. You saw your life in that relationship. Somehow, in this relationship, you would lose it. Your spouse, or this your spouse, this your friend, the person you're in relationship with, this your partner would lose it. Somehow he would beat you up, physically. He would abuse you. He would use your weaknesses, to abuse you, either physically or even financially. But you kept holding your family, telling yourself that things would change. It was because of love. And then at the end of the day, you find yourself alone, thrown in the street, alone. Your heart, it's painful. But instead of dealing with this hurt, you move to someone, rebound. So thinking that you dealt with the other situation that happened, before healing, you kept and packed that situation and moved on to another person. So you have just started creating an emotional bank. So this person, this next person that you've moved on to, comes to love you, everything is okay. Remember, the other one is plastered, sealed, and kept. thinking that you solved it. It is not solved. You've kept it in a particular compartment in your brain it is not opened. You locked it, threw the key into the ocean, and moved on with your life. So remember, whatever you went through in that particular relationship, one or two, you will see them in this particular new relationship. If you expected to be, to be treated as a woman there, so in case this person doesn't treat you to your expectations, then whenever a situation occurs, when you have a small altercation, when you burst out with anger, when you burst out with the response, I want to assure you that you will not be handling that particular situation there and then. Instead, a projection of initial pain comes to respond to this, and the particular situation that happened at that time is kept. How do I mean? Have you ever found yourself in a situation that someone just steps on you? They didn't see you, it is accidental. They step on you, and then you find yourself, hurling an abuse at them or just screaming at them, and then later, when you sit down, or rather later, you ask yourself, okay, why did I even have to scream at that person that way? Hey, that person created an opportunity for you to unpack, for you to project. So you did not address, why are you stepping on me? So this action of being stepped on, you have kept it. So it has also gone to your emotional bank. Because what you just did, you are just looking for an opportunity to scream at someone because of what you have packed. So that is how we keep piling. When you're going through a situation and you numb it, you go drinking, you go partying, you go out with friends, thinking that you're solving the situation, hey, you are adding the situation to your emotional bank. By the time you're done drinking, you come back to your senses and you tell yourself, it's time to, move on with life. You did not handle that particular situation. So you numbed it. You plastered it. One day, there will be a pothole and it will erupt. It was not solved. So years after years, you'll realize that some situations are happening in your life, some reactions, some personalities that you adopted. It is because the situations that did happen back then that were not resolved. So it is important that we keep our emotional banks as low as possible. This will help us not to project on people who are not involved in our heart in the first place. You keep your emotional bank replenished by not handling issues as they come. Handle an issue as it comes. You're going through something, you have an altercation with someone, instead of holding back, find an ample time to face that person and tell them, you did this, you said this, or this happened, and I didn't like it. But before that happens, acknowledge your contribution to that. Something as simple as someone stepping on you, you have a contribution to it. It's more or less impossible, but trust me, it is very, very possible. This person steps on you from behind. You are facing him and he's facing you from behind. So of course he didn't see you, so he did it not intentionally but accidentally. So instead of screaming at him in the first place, what is your role? Ask yourself, what role did I play on this person stepping on me? 1, because he did not see you from behind, then you should have moved when you saw him stumbling to almost, stepping on you. 2, you should have held him back and tell him, hey, you're about to step on me. 3, you could have said, hey, stop. You will step on me. You could have talked. You could have held him back. You could have stopped. You could have moved back. The moment we are able to identify the roles that we play in particular situations, then it will be easy for us to start unpacking our emotional banks. Endeavor to ensure that your emotional bank is as low as possible. This will not only help you not to project to people who are not in any way connected to, to your heart situation, but will also be helping your own self psychologically, physically, mentally, spiritually. You will be fit because you'll be able to deal with situations as they come. In case you're the kind of person that erupts fast, then you could take a breather first before responding. So how can you take a breather in the midst of a crisis? Like in the midst of a meeting, you're pinpointed at and you feel offended. So how do you take a breather in the process? Well, if your name is called upon or a question is asked, before you respond, you could do it this way. You could count your fingers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 inwardly. Or just breathe in, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out slowly and gently for 4 seconds. Do it twice or thrice. By the time you will be getting up on your feet to respond to the question or to respond to the claims or respond to whatever question that you are asked, you will be a little bit composed and not so agitated. So kindly, let us endeavor to empty our emotional banks. It is important as parents or as parents to be that your emotional bank is empty so that you're able to pass down love. You're able to go through your day without anxiety, without panic attacks, because you have nothing to hold against someone. So it is important that your emotional bank is empty. Some need therapy, but again, some need your own work. You can't do it through a therapy, through counseling therapies, but again, some you can do it on your own. So, endeavor to always have your emotional bank empty. It is good for you as a person. It is good for the people around you. It is good for your environment, and it is good for your health.